'Twas the night before my spoiler, and all through the Discord, the whole community was astir. Today, I want to just talk about something with Prism that we figured out that just never really came to fruition. It just wasn't quite good enough, but it's pretty broken. It's an infinite combo in New Prism, and it's kind of an OTK with some stipulations. Let's get into it. Let me describe what the combo is before anything else. So, it all starts with these three cards. It's an infinite Arclight combo. So the premise is we have Avalon in play. We have all three of these in play. We have Avalon, we have Genesis, and we have Arclight. The Arclight will time walk them every turn. They have to attack into it and it ends their turn. We then use the Avalon to put Arclight back on top of the deck. We then loop two Arclights because we have to have one in our hand already, and we play the new Arclight every turn, putting the other Arclight back on top. And then we pass turn, draw the Arclight we just put back on top of the deck. They kill the Arclight we just played. Then on our turn, we play the new Arclight, putting the other Arclight back on top. Looping two Arclights infinitely. The Genesis is here to give us the soul that we need for our Avalon. It's the engine piece we need to get going. Now, this by itself may not win the game. Just time walking your opponent every turn doesn't actually progress the board state. But what it does do is give us free 4 damage every turn, that they either give us cards or they take the damage. So at this point, we now get to do this equal to the number of cards we have left in deck once we start the combo. Because every turn we're going down by 1 card total in our deck from the Genesis, because we keep having to soul a card every turn. Now this may end up just winning the game. They may not be able to stop the 4 every turn and just end up fatiguing or dying to that. Pretty unlikely. We are also making a Spectral Shield every turn off of the Genesis. I'll go into the math of like what the hand kind of texture looks like at once you've assembled the combo in a second, but generally you end up with like an extra card every turn. So you are able to replay the Arclight, replay or re-attack with the Avalon, and then still have an extra card left over. And if it's a yellow or a blue, you then get to swing a shield at the end, getting an extra 4 damage on top. So we're getting like 8 damage every turn, equal to, again, number of cards left in deck. And there's a few other things that you can do at the end of the game to try to win. I'm going to come back to that at the end. Let's go into how do we set up this combo. Then we'll talk about other win cons that we can do once we're there. And then we'll talk about how do you beat this and like why isn't this good. The setup. The setup's not great. This is the main reason why this isn't very good. What we need is, for our initial setup, we need to be playing a Halo of Illumination and a Vestige of Soul. This is important because the Halo gives us the ability to turn on our Vestige just whenever we want. We just on-demand turn on our Vestige. And then this gives us an opportunity to put a Herald into our Soul, trigger our Prism, and get our Figment into play if we haven't already found it. The other setup piece that we need an Arclight in our graveyard. And then we either need an Arclight or a Genesis in our arsenal, and the other one in our hand. And then ideally, your hand's just all pitch cards. The way that you're going to want to configure the deck construction of this is you're probably going to want to make pretty much all the cards in the deck light blue cards with a couple light yellow cards just to kind of fill in the gaps. Like you need to play Genesis and such, so you'll have some yellows in the deck. Now, if you want to assemble the full combo in 1 turn, it requires 15 resources. The Arclight is going to be 6. To activate the Halo, that's 1. To get the Figment and flip it, that's 2. And then to attack with the Figment, that's another 2. To play the Genesis, that's 4. This is the full combo right here, and that's 15 resources. Now, on a 5-card hand with the double aura plus all blues, this is not enough resources. This right here is 12 resources, so we're 3 short. Now, if you would like to assemble the full combo in 1 turn, you could add even more setup pieces. With 2 epots, you get the full combo in 1 turn. They're done. The game's pretty much over unless they have an out to this, which again, we'll get to outs in a second. Kind of unreasonable. You know, all great combos in the game start with, what if we just had 2 epots in play? It's not really a reliable thing to do. Some other ways that you could go about it is if you, for some reason, already have some of this in play and it's tabled from a previous round. Like, let's say, for instance, you go Genesis, and they kill one of them or ignore them. Like, these things can happen. If your opponent lets you keep one of these pieces in play, the requirements is much lower. Now, you don't technically need to assemble the full combo either in 1 turn. You could not flip or swing your rebirth figment, the Avalon. Now our requirements to go off is much lower, but we have to have an Arclight on top, otherwise it doesn't work. The idea being is that we need to play the Arclight on our own turn, because if we play it on our opponent's turn, if they don't give us a priority, like they don't like do something first, which when you're doing this, they're not gonna just like do something to give you priority. And even if they do, they'll learn real quick, maybe I shouldn't do that again, because they have infinite chances to not do that if you don't have the full combo. They'll just attack the Avalon. They won't give you, or they'll just pick off the Genesis. If they disrupt any of these pieces, it falls apart instantly. That's the idea of why you need to assemble the full combo in one turn. But again, if we don't do the Avalon right away, and we just do the Arclight Genesis, now we can do the rebirth on our own turn. But we would have to draw into an Arclight immediately. The top card of our deck would naturally have to be an Arclight, or top 4. Not really reasonable. That's why we do the flip immediately, so we can guarantee the Arclight on top, but you could just be a luck sack and just immediately draw, that's always an out. Now, there may be a cleaner way to go about this that I just don't see. There's clearly something here. This is pretty broken. Infinite Arclighting your opponent and getting to just swing with impunity into your opponent equal to the number of cards a deck is pretty powerful and very hard to interact with. So let's talk about how you actually interact with this now. So the pitfalls of the deck. The first big one is action points. If your opponent has a way to generate extra action points, they can bypass the Arclight and then kill your Avalon. You need them to be brickwalled by the Arclight, and if that doesn't do it, it falls apart. So, like, if your opponent just, for some reason, presented Time Skipper Boots, this just falls apart. And there's some other cards in the game that generate action points that are commonly played. This just falls apart to a lot of those. Can't really play that in a meta game where people are just like randomly playing extra action point cards. The other one is unpreventable damage, such as Vinset and things like that. If your opponent is able to present you damage that you literally can't stop no matter what, your Avalon is destroyed. Game over. You can't do the combo anymore. Kind of in a similar vein, too much arcane damage. So, like I was saying before with the hand texture, I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit here. Basically, what your hand texture is going to look like every turn. So, the first time we do this, we're going to go into a 4-card hand, no arsenal. We're going to have a guaranteed Arclight on top, and then we draw up. They're going to kill our Arclight. We'll have this in play. This is gone. We're going to then Genesis a card, and then redraw a new card. So, our Vestige of Soul is live. We then get to pitch 2 blues, replay the Arclight, swing the Avalon, put Arclight back on top of the deck. We still have an extra card here. So this could be put into swinging with one of the spectral shields that you made off of Genesis, or something else. Generally, we're just using it for that. You could theoretically arsenal here, like maybe you want to play Merciful or something in your deck, so at the end, well, getting to other win cons, you can play Merciful here as well. But if your opponent is presenting you arcane damage to try to pick off the Avalon, you do still have an extra card in your hand every turn. So if it's 3 or less arcane, you can just pitch your extra card to prevent that arcane damage from happening. If it's more than 3, falls apart, Avalon dies, can't do the combo anymore. They cannot demand 2 cards out of your hand, and then you still let you maintain the combo. Also, another arcane out. If they're just playing arcane damage spells that can target anything, like a lot of the Icelander cards, if they just shoot this for 4, you can't do anything about it, and the Avalon dies. This is hard to set up, there's a lot of weaknesses, that's not really seeing play. But let's go on to the bright side and talk about some other things that you can do once you're already in the combo if you need a win more strategy to actually close the game out, because you may not necessarily win just off of Avalon for 4 every turn. I think you're pretty close, though, getting to swing Avalon plus a Spectral Shield every turn. So without adding anything extra to the deck, by the end of the game, if we're undisrupted and we're able to do our game plan, we're going to get to the end of the game and have just a brick of Spectral Shields. So on the last turn of the game, when you're running out of cards and you really can't Genesis anymore, or you're going to deck out, you can just not do the combo again. You can just say, I'm going to activate Genesis, turn on my Vestige, and then I'm just going to pitch my whole hand, pretend this is a light blue card, and create 16 resources, and I'm just going to swing with all my shields. And this is going to give you 16 resources, so you can swing 5 shields for 20 damage. That's a lot. And if they say no blocks to that, I don't know how they're still alive at that point. But if they say no blocks and punch you back, you still have a mountain of Spectral Shields. You could probably say, I agree, no blocks to whatever you're doing, and then do it again, except for you might not have the Genesis trigger depending on how many cards are left in your deck. I'm not sure on that one. That's like, where are you at in the game? And then just do it again. Kill them. The other thing you could do is potentially play I touched on it a minute ago, a Merciful Retribution. If that happens and then they swing back into you, then you just play a Merciful Retribution from Arsenal, kill you. All these shields now convert into 1 damage. Hey, editing Pheano here. I just want to also mention something I forgot to say in the video. If you do play Merciful, you want to make sure that you don't play it while you're in the middle of doing the loop. If you do that, the Arclight Sentinel will go into your soul, and that will break the loop, and you will cost yourself the game. So don't do that. Only play it at the end of the game when your opponent swings into you and tries to break all your shields. Another thing that you can do, if you want to go really deep, go even further beyond... Card, I'm sure like 99% of people watching this video have no clue what the hell this does. Spectral Procession. This card is a power equal to number of spectral shields you control, and it costs 0. The real drawback to this card is it's a red, and we really need blues for this deck to function. So like drawing this in the middle of comboing might be a death sentence, but it could be a card while you're setting up. Maybe you just set it or something. I don't know. That's kind of hard to do because you really need the 5-card hand when you're going for the combo, so probably not. If you have a Mountain of Shields, you can just attack for lethal with this. Or you swing with some shields like I was describing earlier, then end on this. And if you want to go even further beyond, you can play Snapdragon Scalers. Throw 2 of these in 1 turn. Present like 50 damage off of 2 cards. How are they living this? Again, this is win more stuff. This is probably not something that you actually want to be doing in the deck, but in theory, you could. And maybe you need this as a win con in the deck in some weird scenario. I at least want to touch on it just so the option is out there so people know. As I said a couple times here, I don't think this is very good. I don't think this is where you want to be with the deck. I think this is a niche strategy that you could do that might cheese someone. But I don't think that you're going to get that many people with it. I think, especially after making this video, honestly, like, it's one of those, like, awareness things. If they know what's up, they're not going to let you do this. So once the surprise factor's gone, it's very hard to do this, which is why you need to like assemble the combo all in 1 turn. The only way that this like realistically works a lot of the time, they just ignore one of your pieces and you're just like, okay, do it all in 1 turn. Theoretically, you could also do something where you like get out one of these pieces and attack them really hard and they give you most of their hand so they don't kill one of your pieces, but then you have to be playing more attacks in your deck and it disrupts your pitch for the deck. There's something here. And maybe people smarter than me can figure something out. I hope not, because honestly, this is pretty degenerate and there's not something that I would actually want to play against in a tournament, and I think that this is not great. I don't like there being like functionally like a Splinter Twin style type of thing in the game. So hopefully this never amounts to anything, but it is pretty broken if you get to do it. But that's it for the video. Tomorrow, spoiler video. Stay tuned. Watch that. It's gonna be sick. This new card is gonna, I think, revitalize Prism a bit and make it a viable deck. I'm not gonna oversell it. I don't think this makes Prism tier 0 broken, but I think it makes the deck good. I think you're no longer going to be a clown for bringing Prism, unless you're Lucas, who's just a clown all the time. Shout out to my boy Lucas. That's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you.